So we are going to continue. Now the real thing is that we have created our sign up page, we have created a login page, and we've checked things are working well. We've got our Python files, our forms out here, the main home page is here where they log in, and this is the sign up page. The last thing and the most important thing of this app is to now start creating the page, which will help you add the sticky notes or delete them, those kinds of things, or help the user to log out of the app if they have to. So for that purpose, I am actually going to access my templates folder, this one, and I'm going to create another new file into it, which I will call sticky.html, because this is going to, be the house for my sticky notes, which I add. All right. And over here in my sticky.html, I can just basically start with, okay, let me just copy the boilerplate code from here. For some reason, I don't know why it's not really, anyway, it doesn't matter. So I'll just copy the boilerplate from here, right? And I can call it the digital sticky notes or anything that you want. So the title is basically the title of the page, and over here I don't really need any heading, because if you saw my app, it just shows on top, welcome, and basically it shows the name of the person who is logged in, right? So inside the body, what I can do, I can actually associate the navigation bar, like the top bar, with the login action. Like the moment somebody logs in, then what will happen is that it will actually take them to this page or navigation bar. Okay, so I can use this function. You can even say form action is login, like I had used it earlier, or I'm actually showing you this function also exists sometimes when we want to just name the root or the action with which we want to associate a page. We even use the function called URL for. Okay, it's one and the same thing. So the login page, basically, I mean. All right. And here the method is of course going to be post, because we will be posting the sticky notes to the server. That's why. Okay, now here inside my form, I can actually create a navigation bar on top, like, which is, if you saw my app, it's like an orange bar where it shows welcome and the email ID and logout button, right? So over here you can actually create the navigation bar the way you like it. I'm just using some unordered list over here, and firstly I will want to maybe create a log out button. So I can say in the right side of my page in the navigation bar, I want to create a log out button. Okay, so ahref equals to, this is my login route. So when somebody logs out, what page do you want them to access? They should go back to the login page, which is your home page. So that's why it's linked to the home page. Okay, the button or the link is called, you can in fact create a button if you want. I've created a link. You could have said button out here also and linked it with the home page. So whatever you like, really, the styling is up to you. Okay, so that's your logout button. Okay, and then in the top of the navigation bar, maybe in the very center, okay, you would want to show them welcome, right? And what do you welcome them with? You want to welcome them with the email. Okay, so it will show welcome blah 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 at gmail.com, and then a logout button at the very right. Okay, I hope I'm closing all the tags properly. You also just do it so that you don't make any errors. Sometimes when the tags are not closed, of course it will show you as an error. So we'll check those bugs later, but this is how I have created just the main, the navigation bar for my app. Okay, indentation, please take care of it. If things are inside the body, the form tag opening and closing should be in the same level of indentation. The divs should be aligned properly, just to give you a clean look to your code. Now after a line break, what I want to do, I want to now start adding the logic for adding the sticky notes. Okay, so I'm creating that place now. How the sticky notes will be added into the database, that I will, of course, that I will do it in app.py, but here it's just the fields which basically how the notes will appear. So that's what I'm doing here, since I'm on the client side coding right now. So I will be linking this action to a route, okay, which I will later call it add sticky in my app.py. It doesn't exist right now, but I definitely am planning to add it once I create it. Okay, method is post, right, which is like adding the sticky notes. Okay, and then probably I can actually do this in a container. So all the sticky notes might be in one container because I may want to style it, like, you know, give it a width and a height and things like that. So I'm just calling it container, and inside the container I will create a text area. Okay, I will call this as note text, which means whatever text people want to add, that. And placeholder is a place like which says enter your sticky note text here or something like that, which appears in a text box. Okay, so enter your sticky note text is here. Okay, now the text area tag, it you don't have to really use CSS to style it. If you want to work on the width and height of the text area, you do it basically in the form of rows and columns. Okay, so maybe I can take rows equals to 4, which will determine the height basically, you know, vertically, and then columns could be 50, which is like the width of the this thing. Okay, yeah, that's here, and that's about it, I think, and I can safely close the text area tab. Okay, so this is the place where they will add the sticky notes, right? And then I also wanted, as you can see in my app, I also wanted them to choose from a drop down the colors of the sticky notes. So I'm just going to say select name equals to note color. Okay, and it's a required field, which means they have to choose a color, otherwise the the logic will not work, because by default it will be the first value which is always chosen. So they should select something in it, or even if they don't, then we want that the by default value should be picked up. So that's a required. The first value I can choose in my app was red. Okay, and this is going to be my default value, which means this is the first thing that will appear. If somebody doesn't choose anything, it will be by default a red note which will be added. So I can show them that this is for your urgent tasks, and I close the option. Okay, and let me just copy this and paste it 3 times, because I have 3 colors in my notes, and you are free to choose more colors if you want. And this is not the default value, so I'll remove this. I will say yellow. We can add yellow notes for medium priority tasks. Okay, yeah, and the last one could be a green, which is for tasks that they can do when they actually have time, they don't have to do it urgently. Okay, so that would be green for low priority tasks. Okay, so 3 options, you can add more if you want. And so I'm here to just close the select tag. So this is, I've created a text container, I've created a color drop down, and then I only need one more thing, which is a button to just which they can push, and the button press will make sure that the sticky note is added. So I can say add new note. Okay, so that's my button, and that brings me to the end of this form, which is the form linked with your adding the sticky note. Okay, so this is how it should look like on the client side. But now let's go to our app.py and let us now start adding the route for it. Okay, like how the server will handle these add sticky notes. So this is my app.py, these are the login routes, and I have my registration routes out here, sign up and all of that. And just before I run the app, I can actually now start creating my new route here. Okay, let me create some space out here, and now I will start adding the route for the add sticky, which I already defined in my HTML. So this is my add sticky route. Okay, methods, either it could be get or post, but in this case you know that you are posting data to the server, you are actually adding something to the database, you are posting it to the server, the sticky notes. So the method is post. So add sticky, how the function is gonna work. First of all, of course, I need the email ID of the person who is logged in. So that I can easily get from whatever is stored in the session variable. And that's really beautiful because you don't have to really worry about that. Session automatically just logs you in and stores your email. It knows that who's logged in. So I can get the email from there. Note text, I can get it from the whatever they have posted in that text area which we defined. So flask dot request dot values dot get, okay, and we called it note text in the HTML. So it will come from there. Note color, again I will just copy this. So we are just going to get that value of the color from note color, and I realized I've made a mistake here. It's note text. Okay, note color is here. Okay, if let's say somebody tried to click on the add new button but without adding the text, okay, so in that case of course we don't want to add blank sticky notes, right? So what I'm gonna say, if the note text is blank, which means they forgot to add something, I will flash a message to them on the HTML page. I will flash it and say, please enter some text on your sticky note. Okay, so I will stop them from adding a blank note like that. Okay, else if the sticky note text was not empty, then yes, I want to make a connection with the database at this stage. Okay, same code. I called it sticky.db, right? Sticky.db is the name of my database. Yeah, so sticky.db, and same way with the connection being open, what I want to do, I want to connect with the cursor, connection.cursor. This is all pretty standard code, right? So I connect the cursor and I execute a query which is basically just inserting into the sticky notes table. Okay, I want to insert the email ID of the person who is adding the note. I want to add the note text. Okay, I think in my database when I created sticky.db, the table, I had used this field name. Okay, so this one here should match with what you had used at the time of creation of the database, not this. Okay, let me also just check it once. So when I created sticky table here, create table, I called it note underscore text and I called it note underscore color. So basically I'm using these fields to say that these are the fields I want to add the information to, right? So sometimes it's very easy to forget, and that's why I'm just reminding you. So note underscore text and note underscore color are the fields, right? And what values do I want to add in them? You know that this is the syntax, 3 question marks, all right? And then after that you can actually, in a kind of a list, you can say you want to add the email ID of the person, note text, this time without the underscore because this is the name of the variable, and note color. Okay, so whatever values you got from your HTML page here, you are adding them to your sticky notes table. Okay, now this is done, and I think we are ready to close the connection with the database. Connection.close sometimes is very important, and I've seen that often when I forget to close the connection, my app behaves in a very weird way. So there are few things which are like really important, you know. Also, I guess what I'm forgetting is, of course, something that you want to insert, you commit. Okay, that's also important. Connection.commit, connection.close. Okay, and then I guess I'm ready to, so this is inserted and everything is there. So yeah, I think now I'm what I can do now is I can return, you know, to another path or to another route, okay, which I will later define, and I will call it show sticky notes. Okay, I have not yet defined this path, but basically why I'm saying it here is because whenever I insert a new note, it should take me to a different path on the same page, but I'm saying that show sticky is because it will show up all the sticky notes which have been sort of added to my database so far. Okay, so this is important in that case. Okay, let me not make it a part of else. Actually, returning should happen here on this indentation level, right? So that's my show sticky path. Okay, so that's done, and I think I should now also define the show sticky path. So let me just make some more space and add that root, which will actually basically just show you all the sticky notes that you've added so far. So this is my show sticky. Okay, methods here is not post, because you are not posting anything. You are basically just getting the data from the server. So all the notes that have been added, you're just showing those up to the user. So show sticky, how this should work, this is a fairly easy one. You just get the email. Let me actually copy this from here. Okay, so just get the email ID of the person who's logged in. Okay, let us make the connection with the database, and I'm just gonna copy this part from here. So let's connect to the database. Okay, let's make a cursor here, copy and paste from here. Okay, and just to show everything, you just say cursor.execute. Okay, and what I want to basically see is select star from sticky, which means show me all the sticky notes that you have in the database where email equals to this person's email who is in the session right now. Okay, not for everybody else. So that can happen from here. Okay, if there are bugs, we will of course get to that later. Okay, so all the sticky notes, cursor dot fetch all. So please get all the notes that this person has. Connection dot close is important, right? And lastly, when they have shown me all the sticky notes, I want to just return the same template. Okay, so flask dot render underscore template, and it's the same sticky.html because we're not going anywhere, we're just showing the sticky notes on the same page. Okay, sticky.html, but of course I have to pass on the email ID to the form. Okay, and whatever notes I have fetched from the database, they will show up, right? So I think this is what show sticky note is gonna do, right? And this function will also work whenever we are on the sticky.html page. The moment somebody logs in, somebody goes into the sticky.html, this path is automatically gonna be there because it will automatically show this. Okay, and also when the somebody enters, like adds a sticky note, that time also we are redirecting them to the show sticky, so that all the notes that they are adding new plus the past notes that they had from the past will also show up through it. So you could have actually done these two together, but that could have meant like more complexity, and then running two queries, like adding and then showing together. So I have just split them into two different ways. I think that makes a bit more sense over here. Okay, so the next thing is about deleting sticky notes, which I will cover in my next video.